Ladies and gentlemen, this is Hood Raised, representing Team at Ease Entertainment. I'd like you all to help me welcome to the stage, also represent Team at Ease Entertainment, as well as Epic Movement. Ladies and gentlemen, Prolific.
I am prolific. My pen never sits too long. Holding it hostage to my pad, I'd drift in the incense of ink, coming days to the beauty of collaboration, or when pen meets paper, love struck, shot by the ricochets that bounce off walls through speakers when I speak into a mic. Through an arrangement of words, I feel aligned. See, you help me and my spirit combine through lyrics incline in my voice just to project my objective. Their poetry. This is just a personal dedication to express how I feel when you make me feel expressive. Impress when I impress me into you. Leaving indentations of my mind's ability to captivate and produce my own aspect. Just look how one sentence turns into endless pages of release. Thank you, notebook, because those little 50 sheets of wood helped me breathe. That ink that bled tended to my pain, and that ounce of spiral metal kept my life together. So even when I was at my lowest, I realized I always have you, so my pen had a point, and my paper was just space to document the list of reasons in the form of pieces on how my mind looks physically, emotionally, healing through artistic creation. See, poetry is where I found another life formed from an art form. I was once a caterpillar, inching through the days of life until I endured the beautiful process of metamorphosis. Now growth grows and my mind expansion follows as my hands drift swiftly to the breeze of my inner emotions, and my heartbeat pumps to the tempo of my thoughts, and I be dancing through Webster. Sometimes I forget to come out of the days where I dream through words and slip into the softest melodies that collide so gracefully. You even sound like love. It's like I can see you clearly now. That's why they call you Recite. And you held me down from the root. You helped me going. You are the push to keep me going. It's like you started a new part of me. You helped me be a part of the circle of life, you know, rebirthing myself in rotation on different stages. Every time I touch a mic, see you be the reason I strive. Restless hours, hands cramped, thoughts going haywire. You still be my peace of mind. So, yes, poetry, I do love you, and I will until the end of time. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Darlin with you at Everyone Has a Story. I am here with my co-host,
Peace and blessings, everybody. I'm Hood Raised.
Hood Raised. We are both here to talk to Prolific about her story. How are you, Prolific?
I am epic. How are you?
Epic. Oh, I think that's leading into something there.
Yes.
Okay. Prolific. I do have a few questions for you. I hope you're really, really comfortable because I'm going to get deep into your life a little bit, right?
Absolutely.
So tell us about yourself first.
My name is Shamara Pugh, and I'm also known to the people in the spoken word community as Prolific. I am also along with being a spoken word artist, I'm a motivational speaker, graphic designer, radio host, event host, and vice president of a nonprofit organization. So yes, I am quite a little busy right now.
That's a long resume.
Yes.
A lot going on, and it's all good.
Yes. Thank you.
So how did you become a lyricist?
So it all started in my basement at my old house. It's crazy. My dad was a rapper for a group back in high school after he had me, and he built a studio from scratch in our basement. And me and my little brother used to sneak on the stairs and just listen to them rap, and then we'll get in trouble and have to run back upstairs. And then, we get in trouble. Then we'll do it all again the next day. So just listen to him and my uncles just go down there and rap and freestyle for hours until this day. They come over and they freestyle just for hours, and it feeds me energy, and I think that's where it all started. I was like 6.
So this rap thing turned into a poetry thing?
Yes, it definitely turned into spoken word. As I got into grammar school, I read Chicken Noodle Soup. That was my first poetry book I read, and I was like, hey, I want to do that. And then my school had a contest called Young Authors. So I wrote a whole poetry book. I got admitted into the competition. I didn't win, but I didn't give up, as you can see today. Still doing spoken word, so yes.
So, growing up with a love for hip hop, stemming from your father, shout out to the fathers, appreciate that. How does that relate directly to spoken word, considering a lot of hip hop nowadays is a lot of mumble rap, and spoken word is more so about the message and the bars, as we say nowadays. So how do they relate to you now, considering they seem to be on different planes?
Yes. So I'm kind of off rhythm. I'm just gonna put that out there. So it was always really hard for me to catch a beat. I tried for the longest. I was just like, I read this book with no music playing in the background. What if I just did spoken word over it? And my mother and father always told me I had a voice. I was always the loudest in the classroom, but I learned how to channel that into something positive and use my message and what others misinterpreted when I was being ununderstandable, if that's a word. I'm a poet. I get to make up words, everybody. Not being understood.
That's a poet law.
Poet word.
Yes.
Not to be understood, and to put it in spoken word and having a message as I transition into the new life I live today.
Okay. So this whole, from grammar school, you're pretty young. So from grammar school, you went right into just spoken word performing places. Is that how that started?
That is not how it started. In high school, I was in a lot of activities along with working, and we had a poetry club. And I was in it for about a week, but I quit because I had to work. It was just like poetry kept coming to me, and everything in life just kept getting in the way. So what I did from there is I entered the school's talent show. And I did a poem about one of the detrimental things that happen to teenagers in high school. Their boyfriends start going to friend and stuff like that. So I talked about that, and that was the first time I realized how much poetry really meant to me expressing my emotions. And then after high school, I just searched and searched and searched. I was working, and I didn't really have time, but one day it was an open mic down the street from my house, and I was like, I think I'm just gonna go. And I took a shot 2 years ago, and then here I am today.
You are prolific.
So
Thank you.
how does the name prolific, how do you identify with it? When you heard the name prolific, when you heard the term prolific, you was like, hey, that got to be my name. How did that identify with you?
So when I heard the word, honestly, I was like, it sounds like it's a good word, but let me Google it. So when it's just like when a word clicks to you, that's how I knew it was my name, because it just clicked in my head when I heard it. I was like, that sound like you, but I don't even know what it means, so I ain't gonna say it yet. So I did the definition, and I read the definition as just producing fruitful things in life. So from there, I took that like, I'm growing, and I'm gonna produce a lot of things in my future, so this will work great because it's an adjective for something just prolific, something great, something moving, something that has a positive aspect with it. So I chose that name and was like, hey, I think this works.
Nice. Little poetry etiquette. We
Yes,
snap when
snap,
it's something that we like.
yes.
Snap.
So you were recently in a show,
Yes.
right? And these women were telling their stories, right?
Yes, I remember.
And I know these women came to tears when you told this one story. And I know this is probably a really personal issue for you, but I know it was a piece called Her Story, which basically you were telling your story. Can you elaborate on that piece a little bit?
Yes, so I was in an amazing show called Her Story. It was one of my first biggest events, and I looked at the ladies that were on the flyer, and I'm like, all these women are absolutely dynamic, and they all had so many stories to tell. And at that point in my poet career, I wasn't really digging deep into myself, and I've been holding burdens for so many years, and I just decided, like, it's time. You've grown, you've healed. It's time for you to tell your story. So I came up with the title Her Story because along with the theme of the event, I talked about how I was sexually abused as a young child. And I was 14, and it was like such a detrimental situation that I didn't tell like nobody but like my closest friends, and I only had like 2 at the time. And I just held on to that grudge, that pain. And when I started doing poetry, it just was like, this is how you're going to tell the world. This is how you're going to express it. This is how you're going to get that last little final stitch to heal in your past.
Okay. I want to get a little bit more about that story, but we're going to go to a break right now. So I want you guys to come back and enjoy the show with us.
Marcus Jones says he's headed in the right direction today. That's much different than where he was headed 2 decades ago.
It was good because you got the money for the drug right there. You get the money, and as the customers come, and the money piled up in your pockets.
That was when Jones was just 16 years old. He was already a member of a known gang. By the time he was 24, Jones attempted to rob another gang member.
As I was exiting the home, I got shot, and didn't even know I had got shot, and tried to get back up, and I couldn't.
Jones has been in a wheelchair ever since. He wrote a book titled, Everyone Has a Story, This Is Mine. He hopes that his mistakes can wake up others.
You always think that it could never happen to you until it happens.
Jones educates people in his own uptown neighborhood, but he also works with other schools and students in other communities. And that puts some parents' minds at ease.
I look at Marcus and I think, and I thank God, my son could have been in that wheelchair.
He also encourages everyone to stay away from the drugs he once sold.
He said, Steve, when they say they want to give you a free high, they don't tell you about the low-down consequences of accepting that free high.
Jones's book was published in January. In just 2 short decades, he went from selling drugs to selling books and selling hope.
Hi, we're back with Everyone Has a Story. I am DARLIN MIKKI with my co-host HOODRAISED, and our guest prolific. So when we left, we were talking about Her Story, which was a poem you wrote about something that happened to you. And can you tell us, how were you able to get that in words?
So when I knew the show was coming up, it was so crazy because usually when I have events, I do things way in advance, and this poem was taking me a while, and I was just hesitant about writing it, and I was just like, you don't have to do it. I was discouraging myself at that point because it was so hard of a topic to talk about. But I wrote one line in the first line of the poem, and I was like, just that one line helped. And I was like, but as I was writing the poem, it was like a tug and pull process. It was like, it hurts, but it's healing. It hurts, but it's healing. It's hurting, but it's healing. It's kind of like that scratch, that hurt that you're scratching it, but it feel good at the same time. It was just like that. And it took so much of me to write that deep into that poem because it took so much emotion out of me, that being such a hard situation for me to deal with at such a young age. And I didn't have that many friends, and it followed me all the way into my 20s. And that was the most detrimental part, that I had something hanging on my back for so many years, and it caused so much pain and caused parts in my personality that I was not proud of. And at that point, I decided that I wanted to make a change in my life and who I was, and it was going to start with healing wounds from that event. And as I was writing the poem, I swear I cried, and I cried, and I cried. And I've been told that the best poems that come from a poet are the ones that are emotional, the ones that are the hardest to write, the ones that take the most energy writing, because it's taking that energy because it's healing you from the inside out. And that was completely a healing process. That poem took me such a long time to write because I put all of my heart, soul, mind, and body into that poem. So, and I did it because I knew I wasn't alone. That's when I realized when I was writing this, I did research along with writing that poem about the young women who had went through the same thing as me at different age groups, different nationalities, and I learned that I wasn't alone. And it's somebody just like me that doesn't have poetry, that doesn't have any artistic creativeness to express themselves. So I'm going to take this step and not only do it for me, but do it for those who have not said their story out loud, those who not reached out to get help, those who never told anybody. And that event alone moved me to hear the stories from the other women at the events that went through similar situations, and the women in the audience that just, that were there in support of me and heard my story and just looked at me in disbelief that I got up there and I said it. I got up there and I did it, and it pushed me and it motivated me more to be of a person I am today and let go of past pain and past hurt and just literally write it out.
So recently, I just seen your name nominated in several categories: Rising Stars, Female Artist of the Year, and the Spoken Word Scene. Congrats! And in a short period of time, you are skyrocketing up the list. So what's next on Prolific's bucket list? What is it that you feel like you have to do next?
So right now that I am I am in so many places at once as far as my talents go. So I'm literally just watering all my talents and just trying to grow greater in each section so they can come up collectively as like a garden of fruits of everything that I've done.
Sound poetic.
And
right.
right now I'm digging deeper into doing things for the community and giving back, because I know how hard it is to be in a certain mental state, and I know how hard it is to be in a place where you just feel like everything is just not going your way. And we all know how important words are. One sentence, one word, one smile can literally change someone's day. I've been there. I know people that been there. So right now I do this event called Notes for Hope. I did it March 24th. I collected money from GoFundMe, friends, family, and we put together these care packages. And within the care packages, we have hygiene products, deodorant, towels, soap, toothbrush, razors for the guys to shave their faces and stuff like that. And the most important part of the packages was that we had handwritten notes from people all over, people in other states that they commented, and my family members that I never speak to commented, and it was just so grateful to watch everybody come together to help rebuild our community through giving back and just words alone. So they have this little sticky note full of words of hope, inspiration, love, encouragement, motivation. I had a couple people put scriptures from the Bible in there. I had people put poems in there. I had people write like their favorite everything on those that helped them get through those times. And we put them in each package and we passed them out. And that was just so moving, because at one point, it's a funny story. I was riding with my friend who was helping me give them out, and he stopped and he was like, "Okay, I see a lady." And I walked up to the lady like in the middle of the street intersection. The light was red, and I gave it to her, and she turned around and she just stopped and she looked at me and she was just like, "Thank you." She was just like, "Thank you so much. You just don't know." She said, "A lot of people judge me. A lot of people think I'm out here doing this and doing that." She said, "But I really, really just need help." She said, "I don't want to be right here doing this, but at this point, I don't have a choice and I don't have no one to help me, and thank you." And literally in the middle of California and Harrison, I was just crying my eyes out giving this lady this package. So that has moved me to go deeper into giving back to my community.
The power of the tongue.
Yes, so powerful.
They say words don't hurt.
They don't.
But they definitely can heal.
Yes, yes.
They definitely can heal.
Yes.
I know that you also do design.
Yes.
I've been seeing you do your thing.
Oh, thank you.
Girl, tell us a little bit more about it.
So I am a co-host of an open mic, which is held every second Friday of the month at Baseline at 2239 South Michigan at 7 p.m. So we started with a forever flyer. For those that don't know what a forever flyer is, it's like all your basic information to an open mic or event that you don't have to keep putting a different address or different time or different date. So at one point, me and my partner were paying someone to do it for us. And I just took the step out like, hey, I think I can do that. I think I can try. I think I can do that. And literally for the last 8 months, I've been just making flyers. And recently, like 2 months ago, I put it out to the public like, okay, y'all, I'm ready to do y'all flyers. And right now I've done book covers, CD covers. I've done open mics. I've done events. I've done album covers, inside, front, back, and it's just opening up that variety of different things I can do with graphic design. But I just took that step and was like, hey, somebody else can do it, you can too, so try.
Seems like not just from the poetry perspective, but like from a self know-how perspective. You got a book. You got to have a book coming out of something. You got to. You did so much and so much time. I mean, can we expect a prolific CD, a book, a download card, something that we can follow what prolific is doing?
Well, since we are here, I have a sneak peek for you guys. Really? I have been working on a book.
Oh.
Nice. Yes, my book is gonna be called 179. So I'm gonna explain that to you guys. So you know how 360 is a complete circle. So you know how some people are like, I hit a 360. But if you stay in one point, you come back to a 360, you're really at the same point. So if you do a 180, you turn it backwards. But perfection is unachievable. So I do 179. So my book is about my changes and what I've did to change me from the inside out, mentally, internally, like spiritually, everything from step by step, what I did along with my personal experiences in the book. So I'm not going to put a date on it yet, just be looking out for my journey to 179.
179. Wow.
It's pretty dope. Well, you know what? I got one more question for you. It is kind of personal, but we're going to go to a commercial break right now. So we'll be back in a minute. Welcome back to Everyone Has a Story. I'm Darlin MIKKI with my co-host HOODRAISED, and we are back with Prolific. Because I have one more question for Prolific, and it's personal Prolific.
Woo.
I was at Epic, right? And I noticed that you have a love interest.
Who, me?
That's not typical on the scene. People kind of keep their little business in circles, and you guys put it like right out there. Look at us.
Yeah. You know,
who is that love interest?
So, my love interest just so happens to be the host of Epic Night Open Mic. Come out to Epic Night Open Mic and you can meet him.
His name?
Markel Thompson is my partner.
Say that stage name.
Kel's the artist.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
That's what I wanted to know.
So it's just when you have something so special, it's really hard to contain in front of others. And we were like best friends for such a long time, and we grew into business partners and more. And it's just such a great experience to be able to work with him on so many different levels, and it's just an easy, smooth process, I can say. And it's just so amazing just to have someone you love with you, supporting you as you support them, as we work together and as we just do so many projects together, and it's just amazing.
Well, that is awesome. That is all we have for you today, and we'd like to thank you for coming to tell your story on Everyone Has a Story, Prolific.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here.
All I'm saying is you ask him that same question.